Hi, this is Brett Payne. I'm the founder and the CEO of Contender Esports. I get questions quite often about how we put locations in outside of the United States. And I'd like to go through that with you for just a couple of moments so that you have some context of number one, how we do it, and number two, that it is possible. I want to talk to you about where this is possible. Sometimes it's not possible in some cities and some countries. And then also I want to just go through the details if you're interested in putting one of our facilities inside of a city outside of the United States. Now, I am assuming that before you've watched this, you have seen what our locations look like. That is in some other videos. You've seen pictures. You may have even spoken to me or to one of our staff members, so you understand generally how the operation works. But I want to just go through some details specifically about our international locations. First of all, like our locations even in the U.S., we do call this the perfect business matrix, the Contender Esports franchise system. And the reason for that is there's really 8 reasons for that. One is the low initial investment. A lot of franchises have very high investment levels. Ours is what we would consider average or low. Now, keep in mind, this is all relative. So when we say low investment, you still have to purchase the equipment. So the majority of the investment is going to be in the technology that you're going to need for your particular location. Well, the good thing is you can determine how many stations that you need, or we can help you determine that. So depending on what your budget is, we can adjust that number for you, whether you are in a country that really only needs 10 stations or 15 stations, or whether you're in a country that it makes sense to have 40 or 50 or maybe even 60 stations in your location. But we definitely will help you to determine that. You do have to have investment money. We don't do loans specifically for locations outside of the United States. So you'll have to make sure that you have a budget for this, but the initial investment is certainly very, very flexible. The second reason why it's the perfect business matrix is that there is low monthly overhead. There is very little payroll that you will need, and we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. But the expenses that you're going to have primarily are going to be your rent and also your payroll expenses, and then thirdly, your internet expenses. So you do have to have really good internet to put in an esports facility. The number 3 benefit is that it only takes 1 employee to run a location. You don't need a lot of staff members. You will need 1 manager, and you'll probably need 3 part-time employees. Number 4 reason that it's great is that the owner does not have to be present. We call this a passive ownership business model, meaning if you're interested in putting in the franchise, that does not mean that you need to quit your job or anything like that. You can continue with your existing career, put this in as a business on the side for you, and you do not have to be in the location for it to run properly. It also has great ROI, a return on investment. We often get asked, how many months does it take before you are at break even? And the truth is, it really only takes 1 month. So there's no reason why you should not be at the end of the month and have covered all of your expenses and been profitable. You also can be up and running in about 3 months from the time that you have your building. So it doesn't take a year to put your business in place. As soon as we find and you find a location that will work, then really it's about 90 days from that point that you can be open for business. Obviously, you're talking to us because you already understand it is a massive growing industry around you. You probably are already aware either the people that you see every day either do play video games or they know someone that plays video games. It is supply and demand. There's a huge demand for what you are considering putting in, and there is very little supply. So in many cities, someone that puts in a Contender Esports location, they will probably have no competition. And then also, you will be able to be the first to market in most of the cities in the world right now. So you may live in a city that maybe has 1 or 2 other locations in it, maybe not one of ours, but maybe an independent location. But in the majority of places, you will have an opportunity to be the first one to bring this kind of business to your city. What is esports? I always recommend to people, if you're not understanding what it is, just go to this website right here, news.google.com, type in esports. That's an alert. You can sit there and you can look at the news that pops up from going to that website just to see what's happening. You can also type in esports, the name of your city or your country. That will give you an indication of what's going on. And then also you can just simply go to google.com, type in esports, the name of your city, and you can see what's happening in high schools or middle schools or lower education, middle education, also in the universities around, as well as with various businesses and professional aspects. So I always recommend, if you are not familiar with esports, you can easily educate yourself by using YouTube and by using Google. If you'd like to, you can also go to alerts, alerts .google.com, put in esports, and it will send you a summary of all the news that's happening in the last 24 hours, and it can come in the form of an email every single day. I would recommend to you also, if you'd like to look at what the trends are in this year, or maybe 2022, 2023, if you're watching this video then, just type in Esports Trends 2021 or whatever the year is that you're looking at it, and you're going to get some good reports about what is happening, particularly in your country, in terms of the customer base, in terms of dollar amounts, revenue being generated. I like to always indicate here in the United States, and actually it's true outside the United States as well, that universities are a good indicator of what's happening in the industry, because they are not going to give money for scholarships for things that are not relevant. And universities now, many of them are offering college scholarships for people to play video games if they're good in particular games in esports. Look also for the news. If you go to contenderesports.com/blog, you will find news that we put up a couple times a week. What is happening in the industry, what's happening with us. It's good just to go and review this. Contender Esports is the first true franchise offering that's offering locations for this industry, and we're doing it worldwide. We are not an independent group that is putting in corporate stores. We are offering franchises in the sense that we have the brand, we have the operations, the systems, the structures, the training, and the ongoing support that you will need to have a successful business. The city requirements that we have when we're looking with potential applicants at their city, number one, that obviously it's an existing market, meaning we don't already have a location there, or your city can hold multiple locations. That's one of the things we're going to talk about with you if you contact us to look at your particular city and see if it's even available. And the second thing is, which seems really simple, but you do have to have access to high-speed internet in your city. So if you are contacting us from a country that has difficulty or challenges with high-speed internet, then this might not be the best time for you to be talking with us about potentially putting in this kind of business. Well, how do we do it? How do we actually put the locations in? There's two videos that you can go look for on YouTube. One is you just type in Contender Esports franchise, and you will see this video here. The other one on our channel, and you can search for this also, is the Contender Method. This is a longer video that will explain the details of actually how we go through the structure of getting your location in place. A couple other tools that we have for you before I wrap up this video. People are always asking about the investment. This is an initial investment sheet for the United States. Now, when you're looking at it, it is relevant in the sense that the franchise fee is the same. The point of sale is going to be the same. Some of these are going to be the same, but in your country, for instance, you might not have professional fees that you need to be concerned with, or office supplies, things like that. So these numbers are not going to be accurate anywhere outside of the United States. Outside of the United States, they're typically significantly less. Well, how do you find out what your initial investment potentially could be? We have a tool for you at contenderesports.com/configuration. This is only for outside of the United States. Go to this website. There's a video of me explaining how to use it, but basically all you need to do is put in the number of PC stations you think you would like to have, the number of console stations you would like to have. That should say PS5, I apologize. And what's going to happen is it's going to calculate out, just with those two numbers there, it's going to start calculating out what your total investment's going to be, because it's going to ask additional questions like, how much is your rent going to be? How much is your insurance going to be? How much is some other things that may be different in different countries. We can't possibly know what the cost is to put a location in all 190 countries, or however many countries there are, because there are some expenses that are fixed. For instance, we know how much a PC costs, but we don't know how much, as I said, how much construction is going to cost in your particular country. We don't know how much internet is going to cost in your particular country. So we give you this tool so that you can go down through something that looks very similar to this, pop in some numbers, not all the numbers, but some of them, and there are calculations behind this tool that are going to essentially produce a final investment number for you. Now, if you see the number at the bottom of the calculator and you go, wow, that's not nearly as much as I thought, I only put in 20 PCs, just go back to the top and change it to 30. And then you can see what the number is. It'll automatically calculate for you. Or if the budget comes back and it looks higher than what you have allocated for that, just reduce the number of PCs and the number of console stations. Now, your question might be, how am I supposed to know how many PC stations, how many console stations? We generally do a mixture of 70% PC, sometimes 80%, and 20 or 30% console. So you might want to play with some numbers like 35 PCs and 5 consoles, or 10 consoles and 30 PCs. Or you want to put 20 PCs and 8 consoles or something like that. Now, will we let you make a mistake? No. This is to be submitted to us so that we can review it with you, make sure that it's in line. We'll look at it, and ultimately, before you actually finalize your location, we will design it out for you, and we'll make recommendations. This is what we think needs to be in here, but this tool will help you and us know what the budget is that we're trying to stay within, and that way we can help you. There also is going to be a tool that's provided to you called the PLL Projector. This is just filled out for, it's just fake information in here. What's going to be, it's actually going to show all zeros. There's a video when we send you the PLL Projector. You can fill in some numbers and it will tell you what your revenues are going to be every month with going on the assumptions that you put in there. There are 3 different franchise options for international locations. One is a single territory, which is $39,000. There's also something called a MUDA, a multi-unit development agreement, meaning that somebody doesn't want to just purchase one, they want to purchase more than one, and we always provide a discount there. So it's $39 for the first territory, $30 for the second, and $30 for the third if you would like to do that. And then also in some countries, we do offer master franchise rights. We don't do this in all countries, but if you are interested in becoming the master franchisor for your country, that is an additional discussion that we can have. We can provide pricing to you, as well as show you some benefits and advantages that you have in having rights for the entire country, because then you're not just making money from your location, but you're potentially making money from sub-franchising, from collecting part of the royalties for yourself. There's lots of other revenue streams that you have available to you. So that's the overall information on our international locations. I hope this was helpful to you. Continue in the discussions with us. We'll go through the details with you, and we'd be very excited to potentially put a Contender Esports location with you in your country.